Okay, so while we're waiting for people to get their pictures up on their Chromebook, you may have taken several photos, and then you want to look through and choose the best one that you want to edit. So obvious things, you don't want any shadows in it, you don't want it blurry, so definitely rule any of those out. And then it may be obvious, like, oh, there's a huge glare on the one I took in the sun, and there's no glare on the one I took in the shade. So use the one without the glare. Or it may just be a change of lighting. The one you took in the shade is probably cooler lighting, like a little bit of a blue tint. And the one you took in the sun is probably a warmer lighting, like maybe more of a yellow tint. So it's going to be different for everyone, okay? Grayson, do you have your Chromebook today?
I'm sorry.
That's all right. And I emailed you your pictures, so you'll need to open up your email.
Yeah, I already did.
Okay. So does everyone know what picture they're going to use? Yeah? Okay. And I was told this morning that, oh, Julia, don't be embarrassed.
Julia, you're not embarrassed.
What did I do?
It
Oh.
I'm using last year's art.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay, good. All right. Let's see. So you're going to go, the program I like to use is Pixlr, P-I-X-L-R. So pull that up. Live, or you're on Pixlr? Oh, okay. And then, so someone told me there's an app for Chromebook. I haven't tested that out. I might use the app, but I have used just the website on my Chromebook and it works pretty good. And then you're going to scroll down and go to Advanced Pixlr. So there's two versions. Playful is like just more of what you get on your phone, like basic stuff. There are very specific reasons I like to use the advanced version. The advanced version is very similar to Photoshop. Now, back in my day, like Photoshop was really expensive and only like certain people had, well, yes it is. But now we have like free versions like this, Pixlr, which does all the same things that Photoshop does, almost. So, it's awesome. Okay, now you're gonna go to open new image and choose which one you want to edit. So hopefully you have it saved in your drive, and that's where you'd be opening it from. Okay, people are ready to move on, so I'm gonna move on. If I have to help people get caught up, I'll do that. Okay, rotating, is anyone's on its side already? So this one doesn't need to be rotated, but if you do need to rotate it, you're gonna go to Image, and Image Rotation, and turn it which way it needs to go. Now, since I didn't need to use that, I'll use this as an opportunity to show you the undo. In the bottom right-hand corner, where it says History, this will list every action that you do. There is an Edit Undo button, but I like the history because it shows me everything I've done, and I can go back several steps if I wanted to. Okay. Next step is straightening. So this picture is not level, it's at an angle. So now I'm going to show you how to straighten it. Now if yours is already straight, good job, you have a more steady hand than I do, and you don't need to. But you're going to go to Edit, and Free Transform. Then in the corner, the blue square, don't go right on the blue square, go outside of the blue square until you see that little curved line, and then you just turn. And just turn it till it looks level. You can kind of line it up with something else on your screen. And then you have to hit Apply. And that's how you rotate. I'm going to get rid of this ad down here if anyone else has ads. Okay, another helpful tip. Okay, so zooming in and out. Say you want to see your artwork more or less. Use this little sliding scale right here. Oh, see, I can see way up close, or way small. If you try and just do it on your mouse pad where you just do this with your fingers, like to to enlarge or shrink, it like does the whole app, and so you end up like not seeing all these things. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? If you go like this on your screen, you won't see some of the options. So use the sliding scale to resize as you go. Okay, let's talk about cropping. Cropping is this little tool over here. You probably recognize it from Google, from any other photo editing app. It's the same image. It's this little square, like the two corners overlapping each other. So click on the crop and get rid of any of your background showing. And help each other and just shout out when you have questions or you want to see something again, just so I know how fast to go. If I should go faster or not go faster. And then after you crop, you need to hit apply. If you don't hit apply and you try and do something else, a little window will pop up and say, do you want to keep this? Or I don't know what it says. Moving on. All right, here's the number one reason why I use Pixlr Advanced for this simple tool. For fixing your lights and your darks. Now, other photo editing apps, there's contrast, there's brightness, there's exposure, and I always feel like those are confusing and they can just not do quite what I want it to do as far as lights and darks. Levels works every time. So we're gonna go to adjustment, and how about I'll just show you the whole step, okay? Okay, I'm gonna go to adjustment, levels. I'm going to move this box over so I can see what it does to my artwork. And then, okay, so see this little graph here. I'm going to move my bottom arrow close to the base of the graph. See how my blacks are black now? Yeah! Cloudy scratchboard, black scratchboard. And then I don't need to actually move my white one because it's already at the base of the graph. But if I were to move it in, it would make my whites brighter. And I almost never do anything with the middle one, but you can play with it and see what it does. I'm going to actually cancel and do it again. So adjustment, levels. Let me show you actually on Julia's picture. Adjustment, because the graph looks different. Okay, so her graph is like way different than the other one. Still, I'm going to move my bottom arrow towards the base of the peak, and then my light arrow also towards the base of the peak. Now, obviously, there's like, you want to look at your artwork and make sure you like what's happening, but that's basically the rule that I follow. Okay, now let's talk about color. Thumbs up if you're done and ready to move on.
No, I still have like what, things on the car. Can I just stop that for you?
No, I'll show you how to fix it. I didn't get many thumbs up. Okay. All right, let's talk about color. This is a black and white image. It doesn't need any adjustments in color. But say yours is a black and white image and it has a slight blue tint or, I don't know, some color on it and you don't want any color. So there are lots of ways to adjust color. There's color balance, color, what does that say? Color lookup, hue and saturation. I find if I took a high quality photo in outdoor lighting, I only need to change one thing, and that's the temperature. Now, temperature just means, is it gonna be more cool, like bluish, or is it gonna be more warm, like orangey yellowish, okay? If you use direct sunlight, your lighting is probably a little on the warm side, so you wanna bring it down to the cool side. If you took your photo in the shade, your lighting's probably a little bit on the cool side, and you wanna warm it up a bit, okay? If it's black and white, you just want it to try and look just black and white. Let me show you on the color one. Adjustment, temperature, and hue. Okay, so Julia's picture I know is on a warm green paper, and there's supposed to be warm skin tones and like the yellow butterfly. So I'm gonna just touch up the warmth just a bit. Okay, and that's probably all that it needs. Just a tiny, tiny bit. So Tristan, he's having an issue where one side of his artwork is like way too light. So I'm gonna like totally wing this. I can't, because it's been a while since I done this. I wanna do the dodge and burn tool, which, let me pull this over and find it real fast. I can't see it. If your image is done, you can go ahead and save it and then upload it to Canvas. Oh, okay. All right, if you have an area that's too dark, sometimes like one side of your artwork or one corner of it is too dark or too light. This tool right here is called Dodge and Burn. It's a half circle. And if you click on it, you need to choose, are you darkening it or are you lightening it? Okay. And what are you lightening? Are you lightening the shadows, the midtones, or the highlights? Probably Tristan needs to darken the highlights. He's got like a glare on one side. Okay, and then you can mess with your brush size and how like soft the edges are. So I'm gonna do I think a larger brush is better. But it is kind of slow if it's a really large brush. Okay, that's how big my brush is. But if it's a bigger brush, it helps like blend things more. And then, so you're not gonna be able to see on this one very well, on this image. Let's do the Julia one. Okay, so it's dodge. I'm gonna darken the highlights on one side. And I'm gonna make my brush bigger. Okay. All right, so say Julia's drawing was too light on one side. See, it just darkens it a little bit. Now, there's a really abrupt edge there. So if you don't want an abrupt edge on your brush, you can pick up the softness, and then that makes it a little bit easier to blend. Okay, on hers, it's really standing out because there really wasn't an issue, but that's how you fix any areas that are too light or dark. Just play with that dodge and burn tool until you get it to what you want. There are lots of other cool things you can do, like not for your artwork. You shouldn't have to edit your artwork too much. If you took a really good photograph, you don't really need to edit much. All right, so when you have your image done, save it. I always like to name it something like Wolf Scratchboard Edited, or Final Wolf Project or Final Introductory Project. Make sure to name it something that stands out, so then when you upload it to Canvas, you're getting the right one. And then save it, and then Canvas, we're doing, oh, not that one. It's just the final introductory project that you're attaching it to. And for that assignment, I know you guys did the project. I'm not grading you on the project. I'm grading you on how good your photograph is and editing. So if it's not a good edited photo, I will say, try again.